What's up, my junkies, and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be installing a steering brace. The product is from Dodge Offroad. If you haven't checked them out before, look them up online. I'll try to post the link within the description here so that you guys can click on it and check out their products. They make a wide range of products, very good products for your Dodge vehicles. And the thing to keep in mind is they build the components based off of their overall experiences, because the founders and everyone else of the company itself, they drive Dodges. So everything that they build has been tested and approved. They go back and they re-engineer it if they need to. So let's get into the video. Alright, so these are some of the tools that you're going to need. You can use a hand socket or a hand driver if you want to. I got a big ass crescent because I don't have a 44 millimeter to take off the pitman arm bolt. You don't take off the pitman arm itself, just the bolt. Here's all the parts associated with this build. So it's also got a pitman arm extender that's going to go in there, additional bracing, of course the unit itself, 15-18 millimeter sockets. I'm going to use my impact driver to do a lot of that. Anti-seize grease, because you're going to need that, plus a grease gun later on. So the first thing, we got to remove this pitman bolt. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so I've removed the bolt. I put anti-seize onto the threads because down the line we're probably going to end up needing to replace this once it wears out. So the anti-seize kind of helps with that, the anti-seize grease. Now what I have to do is install this extension to the pitman arm area, and then but first it's got this lock washer, so the lock washer goes on first and then the pitman goes on to hold it in place. You're supposed to tighten it all the way up and apply 180 foot-pounds of torque to the unit, which we will do if I can find my crescent. The 180 foot-pounds of torque is just going to be tighten it as tight as you can freaking go with it. Like I said, I don't have a 44 millimeter socket. My instructions are flying away. Okay, I'm back. I'm still tightening this up. My instructions were taking off down the street. Because here on Wagon Junkie, we don't have fancy garages or anything like that. We work out in the environment. Alright, that's as tight as I can get that. Alright, so everything's tight with that extension piece. Now what do I have to do? I have to remove these two bolts for the driver's side sway bar bracket. They have new bolts that come with the kit that bolt into here. My guess is the brace also kind of helps with that overlap. So you remove these, and then on the other side you just loosen the other two. You don't take them out completely, just loosen them. The reason for it is you need to be able to kind of manipulate this sway bar so that you can get that brace in there. All right, so we're going to do that next. Huh. Alright, so if at first you don't succeed, try again. That bolt was really on there. Now I should be able to wrench that out. All right, and 2 bolts for the sway, like I said, those you're not going to use because they have different hardware, because the brace and everything else has to seat in there as well. So I'll figure that one out as we go. And now for the comedy hour, I'm going to try to get this brace in here, so bear with me. Huh. Now it goes in there like this. I think it's going to come a little lower. So it's got to go like that. Somehow, it's got to fit in there. Interesting. Wagon Junkie here. And I'm extremely tired. So it's been a little over an hour since I started trying to put the brace in. And let me show you how far I got. So as you can see, I still don't have the brace in. It's the way that the contraption's set up, and I don't know, based off of the instructions and everything else, I've done everything. I've removed the bolts on this side. I've loosened them on the other side for the sway bar thing. I get, movement from this, but the way to contort, if that's the right word, configure or align that brace into this setup here, it just doesn't work. I'll continue to mess with this, but there's no reason for me to show you 4 hours worth of footage and cussing and everything else. Just want you to know I experience what you guys experience out there in the field. You watch these tutorials and videos, and People make it look easy. I'll give you the opposite. I try to be pretty straightforward with these installs, and this should have been something that I should have already had it bolted up, and I should have been tightening everything down already and getting ready to drive it. And instead, I'm still trying to figure out how to get the brace in there. And then my other concern from an owner of a 2019 Power Wagon with an electronic sway disconnect in the front, I don't know how it's going to give it enough clearance, but I guess we'll see. So stay tuned. Alright guys, Wagon Junkie back. So I was messing around with this thing for about an hour and a half, and if you're like me, it's better to stop and decompress real quick. Well, maybe not real quick. Have a beer or two, and then come back and try to figure out what you're going to do. So it's not that the unit itself is crap or anything of that nature. I'm not stating that. The installation procedure on the instructions, I think, is pretty straightforward for most 2500s. But we're dealing with a Power Wagon with electronic sway disconnect in the front, and I don't think they've updated their setup according to, or to accommodate that. So this is what I'm thinking of doing. So here's the problem. When you disconnect this side here, you barely have enough room. I need twice that much of a gap in order to get this brace to slide in correctly because of the contours of the frame and this setup in here. So the plan is to take a jack. I'm going to put it underneath my electronic system for my sway disconnect. I'm going to put it under there. I'm going to go ahead and unbolt this completely, and then I'm slowly going to lower this just so I can get more clearance here, and we're going to see if that works. If so, Wagon Junkie's a genius, and then I'm going to write the company back and tell them what they need to do for Power Wagons just to make the install a lot quicker. This, again, this install shouldn't take you more than, say, an hour and a half, 2 hours max. If everything fits on accordingly, probably an hour. I'm going into 2.5, almost 3 hours now, and I haven't even gotten the brace on. But that extension looks fantastic, doesn't it? I know. So, stay tuned. And as usual, I'll keep posting the videos as we go along through this process. I'll show you the jack down process, see if it drops down enough, and I'll film everything going forward for getting the brace on so that you guys can see that, because I think it's important for you guys to truly know and understand the overall process involved here. So if you decide to go ahead and do it, then you know. Then you're not coming back to Wagon Junkie and saying, dude, you told me it was an easy install. Nope. Never said it was an easy install. Just said I was going to try to figure out ways to make this process easier. So sit back and stay tuned. Well, it's closer. It's still not where I need it. This has got to go up here. This has got to go in this. There's all kinds of weird setups here. Keep trying. Aha. Aha. Success. All I needed was my junkies watch me. The pressure. So, based off the instructions, put in the steering box bolt to kind of hold this in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt that side back in. That's on the passenger side sway bar. I'm going to go ahead and bolt those, put those two bolts back in, and then I'm going to start tightening up this side, getting everything in place. Then from there, I got to use anti-seize on the extension, then put on the lock unit, the lock washer unit. It gets bolted into here, and then I got to torque everything down, then check the wheel, then grease it, and if everything's good to go, that's it. So stay tuned. And you're probably wondering why I didn't get an extension. I didn't think I was going to need one, and I don't feel like going back. Yes. I don't know. I just want my beast to be stronger. Those of you that watch my videos, thanks again for watching them. As you know, I try to push this thing. But I also do a lot of maintenance on the truck to ensure it's going to continue to operate the way it needs to. That being said, doing stuff like this, any way I can strengthen it up will help. So that's all done. I'm going to get the rest of the units so that I can start doing this portion. I'm going to go ahead and tighten those up, but you guys don't need to watch that boring part. Alright, I can get my camera position there. So, got everything retorqued down. In all the install videos that I've seen on this, actually there's only been one true install video that I saw. It was for second gen. They're all using NACs on the shaft. I'm going to go ahead and do that just because it seems like that's the process. It's not in the instructions, but I'm still going to do it. It won't hurt. I used NACs on the thread thing too, or the extension itself when I thread bolted it on. So a little bit goes a long ways. Had to use one of the wife's craft brushes. Asked for her permission though. Just because I didn't want to get it all over my hands like I did with the threads that you saw earlier. And I know I'm going to get comments. You should do this, you should do that. Yes, I know. I never claimed to be an expert on this stuff. I just, I like doing things on my own and learning. And this has been a real learning approach. If Dodge Offroad ends up watching this video, which I hope they do, I'd like them to post it. I don't think I really cussed in this, except for one spot when I was trying to put the brace on. But I think all in all, if you own a 5th gen, I don't know about the 4th gens or anything like that, the older ones, but if you own a 5th gen, you're gonna have to dismount the entire sway bar like I did in the video. Use a jack under the main head portion for the electronic unit itself. Because it is wired in and stuff like that, you don't want it to come all the way down and end up causing any issues or problems. That's why I put a jack under there. Maybe I didn't need it, who knows. A little extra safety is always a good thing. But you are gonna have to do that with this unit if you're gonna get it on your 5th gen in order to get enough clearance within this area. Okay, but aside from that, I mean, it's now that I know how to do it, I could easily do it for other junkies out there. Or if you don't have a Power Wagon and you just have a 2500, I'm willing to help on that as well. So basically the next portion of this process, I got my NACs on there, and you can tell I've kind of banged this plate thing around a bit. It was looking pretty this morning, not so pretty now, but that's okay. This truck's going to take a beating, and more than likely nothing's ever going to touch in this area anyway. But still, it actually gives a little added protection right in here. I like it against the sway bar. So hopefully it's installed properly. I think it is. So the next step is to put on the yoke, or whatever they call it. I think it's the yoke. And that's going to go over this extended shaft here. So that's what I'm going to do next. An 1/8 inch Allen wrench that you got to use on this. There we go. As you can see, it's got a spot to go ahead and inject it with the grease. I'm not going to do that just yet. What I have to do is I have to torque these down, and once these get torqued down, then I go ahead and tighten up these Allen bolts, and then that should be it. Everything should be peachy keen. But that's why I'm here doing this, so that when you order it, you don't go through all the mistakes I did. Okay. And keep in mind, off video, I am going to retorque everything down. I'm just getting everything else set in place where it needs to be. Okay, now that those are in, we can go ahead and tighten up. Make sure this is moving pretty well here. And there you have it. So now I'm gonna go test it out, check. I gotta start the truck up, turn it side by side, and we'll see how it works. Hey junkies, I'm back. Alright, so everything's been lubed, torqued down, so on and so forth. Now the real test. Let's go take it for a drive. Love the purr of that motor. Hammy. So I can honestly say so far, just pulling out of the driveway, steering wheel feels so much heftier and smoother. But we'll see. So really, the ultimate test is going to be some of the roads where I live. They're a bit, let's just say potted or pitted or whatever. They're tore up. Not real bad, but enough to where you feel it big time in the steering wheel. So that's really how I want to test it out right now and see how well it works throughout this process. But so far, I'm really liking it. I'm not feeling any vibration through the steering wheel like I did before. And those of you that have 37s, you know what I'm talking about. You still get a little bit of vibration feel through there. I'm not really feeling much of any of that. So far so good. I'm liking it. Liking it a lot. It's actually like night and day to my truck right now. really enjoying this so far. And I haven't even gotten very far yet. Okay, you guys are gonna hear my Hemi. If you got questions about my exhaust, just ask me. I'll comment back. Relatively inexpensive process. I think I did that install video too. I don't know. So, all in all, the product itself, I highly recommend. Dodge Offroad, I highly recommend. If you're doing a build and you're ordering components from Dodge Offroad, especially through these COVID times, I would give it at least a month and a half before you're going to see that product. And there's a couple of reasons why. First off, of course, the shipping, which as things start to open up, maybe that'll improve. Second, Dodge Offroad hand makes your component. So they'll CNC a lot of the main material components for this, but when you go to place your order with your specifications, they're gonna fine-tune that product to your vehicle. That's what I think is so cool about them. So it does take a little bit of time to get your product from them, but in the end, you will be pleasantly surprised and extremely happy on the overall build quality. That being said, I struggled quite a bit today, but I worked through it, had my moments, which you didn't catch on camera because I turned it off. But all in all, like I said, for the 5th gen Power Wagons, you're going to need to detach the sway bar. And you only need to, on the passenger side, detach it and drop it down probably about a good 2 to 3 inches. That'll give you enough mobility on the driver's side itself. So on the passenger side, you're going to drop those bolts out. Make sure that you have the jack like I do, or some sort of a stand to kind of hold it in place. Because you do have the electronic sway bar disconnect system, and you don't want to mess with that, and you don't want something happening to all the wiring and the harness and everything else associated with that. So you just want to be real careful in those scenarios. Aside from that, everything else kind of went together pretty well and fairly easy. So all in all, I'm really happy with the product. I'm going to test drive this around a little bit more. Input to you if I have any more inputs, but for right now, everything's good to go. And thanks again for tuning in and watching. Like I said before, if you got questions about this product, some of the other Dodge Offroad products that I have on my vehicle, reach out to me and I'll give you the info and the input. The other trucks, if you're watching this just because you were curious, even if you have a different make or model, that's fine too. I appreciate you tuning in and looking at my stuff. As you know, I love Dodge and I love Power Wagons. That's why I'm a wagon junkie. But if you have your own vehicle, so be it. That's your own beast, and you love it for your own reasons. So rather than continue to chatter on and have people stare at me like I'm either talking on the phone or talking to myself, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude this video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and share the content. If you're already a subscriber, thanks again for subscribing. Thanks for watching my videos. Please feel free to share my content. As always, I try to respond to everyone that comments on these videos. And if at any time you're in Southern California and want to go wheeling, look me up. I'll take you on some good trails, and maybe you can show me some things too. Until then, peace out. Wagon Junkie out.